Welcome back to another look. I wanted to title this video A Gentle Introduction to Death, but I thought YouTube might not like that. Well, my son got a pet fish for his 5th birthday a few months ago. He was named Mr Swimmy. Now, a few days ago, last week, Mr Swimmy, for 2 days in a row, Mr Swimmy was not eating his food properly. So I told my wife, I think Mr Swimmy is dying. And indeed, the day after, we found him no longer moving. So I told my wife that Mr Swimmy has died. Then she said, just throw him away. I said, do you think we should tell our son? She said, well, if you want, you can tell him. So the next day I told him, I have sad news for you. Mr Swimmy was feeling unwell and he was not eating and he died. I'm very sorry. Then I told him, so we need to bury him. I asked him, do you know what to bury is? He said, no. I said, when someone dies, you put him in the ground. Would you like us to bury him, or do I just bury him myself? He said, I'd like us to bury him. Then he asked me, Daddy, if we bury him, does it mean he will get well? I told him, no. When someone dies, he doesn't get well. He's not going to come back. So I think at this point is when he realized the impact of death, and he was very sad. At this point, my son was being prepared for school. So I went and dug a hole while he was being prepared so that it would take as little time as possible. Then I called him, but I also put Mr Swimmy on a tissue. Then I called him to where I had dug the hole and he came crying. I asked him, why are you crying? He said, I want Mr Swimmy to be well. I told him, I'm sorry, he is not going to be well. So I showed my son Mr Swimmy on the tissue. I said, goodbye Mr Swimmy. I put Mr Swimmy in the ground and I buried him. And as my son watched, and then my son went to school. Later on, he was crying a little bit. I found him crying. I asked him, what's wrong? He said, I want Mr Swimmy. And he looked, oh, you miss Mr Swimmy? I'm sorry. It's okay to feel sad when someone or something that you like has died. But my wife didn't agree with this. My wife thought he should just cry a little bit and move on and stop crying a lot. The next day also, I think he cried a little bit, but he seems to have adjusted to the new reality. Did you lose a pet when you were young? Did you have a pet that you lost, that died? Has your child lost a pet? How did you handle it? Please share with us in the comments. Thank you for watching.